Welcome to the Local Real Estate Show. Join us each week as we hear from local real estate professionals from around the country. We'll hear their stories, get their advice on the current market trends to the best ways to get the most out of your real estate purchases, sales, or investments. Whether you're just getting started and buying your first home or you are a seasoned real estate investor, there's something here for everyone. So buckle up and get ready to hear from the people who know the real estate industry the best. Now your host, Steve Champagne.
Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Champagne here with the Local Real Estate Show. And today I have a very special guest. I will be interviewing Susan Ungerleider with RED Collective at Compass. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Hi, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoy your show and I'm excited to be here.
Well, thanks for coming on. All right, so let's get right into it. So firstly, why don't you give me a brief introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Susan Ungerleider. I am a Durham native, Durham, North Carolina, born and raised. I've actually lived all over, but came back this way for graduate school. I went to North Carolina State University and got a master's in architecture, and then worked in commercial architecture for 10 years. I was very lucky to get to work on all of the major project types, but I was moonlighting a lot for friends doing some residential design work. And that's what led me to real estate.
Okay. So you have a very unique company name, and I want to talk about that a little bit. And it's called the RED Collective. So what does RED stand for?
Yes. So RED is an acronym. It stands for Realty, Environments, and Design. We handle the real estate piece. We help people buy and sell. The environments piece is that we have a staging company. So we also offer staging for only our clients. And then the design piece is I help people with all types of design work, 3D modeling, envisioning, putting walls up, taking walls down, additions to homes, renovations of homes, color studies, fixture finish selection, the whole gamut.
You're a real estate agent on steroids, I want to say, because I don't know too many real estate agents that would do what you do.
I like to joke that I'm an architor.
An architor.
Part realtor, part architect combined into hopefully a good hybrid. Okay.
So this leads me to, why did you decide to get into the real estate agent piece of it after architecture?
So as I mentioned, I was moonlighting for friends and helping them with, do we add a bathroom here? Do we add a primary bedroom suite on the back of the house? And I had this panic, oh no, what if I'm giving them terrible advice? So I took the real estate class to sort of protect them, and I loved it. And I felt like, wow, this is such an interesting hybrid of architecture, design, and helping people with the big transaction, buying and selling. And I haven't looked back. I just really enjoyed working with that. They dovetail so nicely together.
Okay. So how long have you been a real estate agent slash architect? When did you move into the real estate piece of it?
It's been over a decade. It has absolutely flown by. So I think hopefully that's a sign that I'm doing the right thing. And hundreds of deals and projects. And I'm really grateful that strangers have become clients and clients have become friends. And I really love what I do.
That's the way it goes. Okay, so I ask this question if everyone comes on the show, because I think the people who are in the Durham area are going to want to know the difference is, there's real estate agents and then there's realtors. What's the difference?
The difference is the membership with NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And the part of that is being held to a higher standard. So pushing ourselves within the industry to be the highest level of service. We also comply with a code of ethics so that we're doing this job at just the very highest level that we can. And it means to realtors, as part of this association, we're up to speed on the latest laws, the changes, strategies. So it really is trying to operate at the highest level that we possibly can.
Okay, that's a good answer, by the way. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Durham. So I'm in the market to move to a new city. Why should I move to the Durham market? What's so great about the community?
Durham's an amazing place. We are home to Duke and NC Central universities. We are home to Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, Duke men's basketball coach. We have museums for all ages. We have a minor league baseball team that was made famous by a really wonderful movie with Susan Sarandon, Kevin Costner.
Yep.
We have amazing parks. We have a 55-acre public park in the Sarah P. Duke Gardens. But my favorite little fun fact is that we have the largest lemur sanctuary outside of Madagascar. We are 3 hours drive to the coast.
Okay, let me
back to lemurs.
Okay, so lemurs. Okay.
Yes.
So you have the biggest lemurs population outside of Madagascar.
Correct.
We're gonna divert here just a little bit. How did this happen?
So there's a sanctuary. Duke is working through lemur studies, and they have a lemur sanctuary that is off campus. It's a really amazing facility where they're able to house a really diverse set, all different types of lemurs, and it's fascinating to go and visit.
Okay, all right. Back onto real estate. Okay, so the market's been up and down over the last couple of years. It's been hot. It's sizzling. What's the Durham market look like right now for, let's say, a first-time home buyer?
We're very much in a seller's market. That can feel overwhelming for first-time buyers. But I would say that we're starting to see days on market creep up ever so slightly. That is helping it to be a slightly less competitive market. Having said that, we're still under a month of inventory, so it's still tight. And we are still seeing lots of listings go with multiple offers or for over asking. So now more than ever, I don't want to discourage first-time buyers. I'd say it's really important to make sure you're working with an experienced team to help guide you through that process.
So let's kind of expand upon this a little bit more. Is there a lot of development going on in the Durham market or the surrounding areas as far as new home construction, or is this going to always be a tight, housing market for, say, a first-time home buyer?
That's a great question. I do feel like we're going to continue to have an inventory crunch because we are just so underbuilt. And this comes back from my architecture days that residential construction in this area, in my opinion, is behind. So I don't see that inventory problem going away quickly. It is lessening, but especially with things that have been happening lately, obviously COVID with supply chain issues, and now even with rates, that affects builders too. Yeah. So I do think that we'll continue to struggle with this for a bit, but it has been exciting as a native to see the growth in this area, and good comes with hardship. Yeah.
It's the common theme that I'm hearing when I do these interviews is that inventory is still pretty tight. Building is still slow, and people who are thinking about selling are not selling now because they're going from that beautiful 2.5% interest rate to 6, 6.25, 6.5, and people they're kind of rethinking their, should we sell or not sell? Okay, let's move into some buyer questions. Okay. And here's a question I like to ask folks: is, do you really need a real estate agent to buy a home?
You do not have to use an agent to buy a home. I liken this to, you do not have to use a CPA to help you with your taxes. You can certainly do it yourself. The reason I personally use a CPA to do my taxes is it saves me time and hassle, and they're up to speed on sort of the latest and greatest. And your home is, for many people, the single biggest investment you have. So if ever there was a time to have a coach and a guide, that may be it. The other big reason, though, that I share I think it's great for people to ask this question of themselves, but another big thing that agents bring to the equation are just our extensive list of vendors. We know so many people, and we can match you with the right people. I now have a possum removal expert. So that is something that, it may save people a lot of time to not have to go and find that, to have someone who's a trusted source to share that name.
A lot of possums in Durham?
Apparently on my transactions, yes.
Okay, so
wonderful job.
So I've decided to buy a home with you. What can I expect from the offer and negotiation process? How's it work from a buyer's perspective?
It's wonderful that buyers have access to so much information now. So a lot of the searching is actually done more efficiently because buyers can quickly decide what is worth pursuing and not pursuing. I would say that the search is the tip of the iceberg. Once a property has been identified, that's where the agent really comes in and does some heavy lifting. So much research, trying to figure out, is it in a floodplain? Is it in a flight path? What do we know about the sellers? All of that before any money changes hands.
Okay.
Getting in the crawl space, getting in the attic. What is the condition of the house? What does the foundation look like? Once we go under contract, it's rinse and repeat. We do a lot more investigation, a lot more research. And North Carolina is a little funny. We have something called due diligence, which is different from other states. It's a set period of time that buyers can actually inspect, investigate, and negotiate based on those findings, which is a great thing about our contract. So a buyer doesn't have to inherit something scary that they find. It's not free, but it is a great opportunity for buyers to really know what they're buying.
Okay. What happens during the appraisal process? Because once you've negotiated and you decide you're buying the house, what's going to happen with the appraisal from, again, the buyer's perspective?
Yes, the appraisal is a third-party opinion of value. That's really important for the lender and also for the buyer, just so everybody's checking in with another data point during the transaction to make sure this makes sense. That's ordered by the lenders in my market, so the buyer and the agent aren't doing that, but it is important that the buyer, agent, and lender are working as a team. That appraiser goes out to the property. They firsthand get to see the condition of the property, any features, any improvements that have been made. They then work really hard to create an in-depth analysis and a report to share with both the lender and the buyer, just weighing in on what they think of the contract price and if it makes sense. And I'll add that in our market, it's interesting that we are seeing, because buyers are having to compete, that appraisal price does not always match the contract price. So another reason it's really important to have an experienced team, both lender and agent, who can guide you through that process.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about down payments now, because, after 2008, pretty much all lenders went to 20% down, and there was really no programs out there. And 20% down is a lot of money. So it took a lot of people out of the market. So what's out there today for down payment programs for buyers?
There are a lot of options, and it varies.
Okay.
It's going to depend heavily on the buyer's financial makeup. And again, this is another reason why it's really important to have an experienced lender who can help to talk with that buyer to understand their goals. It's not always money, and to figure out the best programs, the best recommendations for that particular buyer. And I always tell people you should interview lenders just like you interview agents. You really want to make sure you're finding someone who can be the right fit and can let you know about what other opportunities might be out there for you for down payments or just any part of the process.
Okay. Great. So the last question I have now around for buyers is, and there's some confusion generally, and that's why I like to ask this question, is what's the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval for a mortgage? And which one should a buyer really focus on getting if they're serious?
I like to joke with my clients when I talk them through this on a first call is that a pre-qual is the engagement and the pre-approval is the marriage. It is a pre-qual is an estimate, which is great because you want to know that you're looking in the right range. But as you get serious, a pre-approval really shows, first of all, that a lender is serious about you. And then that shows then a seller that you're ready, that you have done your due diligence, and when you make a promise, because an offer is a promise, that you can follow through on that promise. And what's interesting about our market is sellers are requesting a pre-approval with any offer. So you really want to get that early on in order to be taken seriously.
So it's almost as good as cash.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to some seller questions now. And I have a house in the Durham market. I've been living in it for 15 years. How do you determine the current market value of my home?
I come out to visit you and I walk through the property with you and ask you what improvements you've made, what work you've done to the house. I get in your crawl space, I get in your attic, see how things are looking. And then I come back home and I pull data. I want to find like properties that have sold recently that are going to help me determine what the market will bear for your property. And then I'm going to connect with you again and I'm going to ask about your goals. It's not always money. What is it we're trying to achieve with this sale? And then from there to tailor fit a plan and strategy for you on how to get you sold in a way that makes the most sense for you.
Okay. All right. So you look at a lot of houses, and I'm sure you're asked this all the time, should I make any repairs or upgrades before listing my home?
I love this question. And the answer is it depends on the property, of course. Every property is different. But I, with my background, really
Mhm.
love this part of the process. I was a project manager in architecture,
Okay.
managing $1 million projects. So I love managing a residential project of a new kitchen, a new bathroom, whatever it is that's going to help a seller maximize profit. Having
Mhm.
said that, it's bespoke. Every seller needs something different. So it may not make sense for everyone. It's not a one size fits all.
Mhm.
But absolutely, if there's a way that we can make some key improvements to make you more money, that's the part that's really exciting to me because it allows me to be creative.
Okay. So when is the best time of year to market a home? Sell a home.
In Durham, anytime.
Okay.
I've sold houses on New Year's Eve and bought houses on July 4th, and
Okay.
our market has been nonstop for a while now. I think the bigger question is, again, back to the goals of that
Okay.
individual and trying to fit the real estate around their life rather than vice
Mhm.
versa. So, real estate shouldn't be the boss. We should make sure it makes sense for the clients.
Okay.
But with a good plan and a good strategy, I don't think there's a bad time to buy or sell in Durham.
Okay. Then you're lucky because up here, there's really just a very small window of time here where I live. Okay.
We're very lucky here.
So how do you handle multiple offers for your client when it comes to selling their home?
Um, Very carefully and as
Okay.
fairly as possible. I think there's a misconception out there that multiple offers are just a ton of fun for sellers. They're
Mhm.
stressful for them too, and
Okay.
they're stressful for buyers. So, my sellers and I talk a lot about how can we be most respectful in this process. It takes a lot for
Mhm.
someone to make an offer knowing they're competing. So, how do we
Yep.
really honor that? And of course, we compare everything. I get to geek out on spreadsheets. We compare everything side by side. But ultimately, once we figure out what works best for the seller, I then reach out to those who did not win and try to share as much feedback as
Yeah.
possible because those buyers are going to have to try that again. And anything I can do
Mhm.
to help them the next time,
Mhm.
my seller's set. So how can we help
Yeah.
them on their next try?
Okay. That's good. Geek out on spreadsheet. You actually are
Yeah,
a real estate agent that knows what a spreadsheet is.
I'm an architect nerd, so I love any math and spreadsheets and all that stuff.
Okay. I know there is a lot of variability around this question. So, what is the average commission when it comes to real estate? When it first, how's that work? How does the whole commission thing work for a real estate transaction?
It's a great question. It is completely negotiable. It
Okay.
really depends on the agent and on the client and the
Hmm.
conversations they have. I will tell you most often I see a 6%, but it
Okay.
really just depends on the project and
Hmm.
how that's split up. That's going to be conversations again between that agent and the seller. For
Hmm.
myself, I can speak for myself. I put a lot of investment into my projects. I spend a lot of the money
Yep.
that I hope is coming. So for
Yep.
that reason, I charge a set rate because I'm also spending a lot to help that seller or in a lot of cases buyers be successful.
Yeah, I think that's smart for the full-time professional real estate agent. Realtor should be doing exactly what you're doing. I agree with you with that. Okay, I got one more question, and I'm
Okay.
going to preface this. I know you're not a CPA, and I know you're not an accountant, but I know our sellers want to know a little bit about this, and there can be some confusion around it. And it is, do I have to pay capital gains when I sell my home?
That's a good question. I get this question a lot, particularly with investors.
Hmm.
And I'm not a CPA, but I know just enough to be dangerous.
Okay.
Yes, profit is taxed. So when you sell real estate, you will be
Hmm.
taxed. How much will depend on a lot of
Hmm.
variables. Was
Okay.
it your primary residence? Is it an investment property you've never lived in? Usually they're
Hmm.
looking, have you been in that property for 2 of the last 5 years? And they're kind of basing it
Hmm.
from that
Okay.
starting point.
All right. Very good. All right. Thank you for answering those questions around sellers and buyers. I just got two more questions and then we'll
Okay.
wrap up the interview. All right. And so here we are. So, why should someone looking to buy or sell their home work with you versus all the other real estate agents and realtors in the Durham market?
Ah, well, they may not. It's highly
Okay.
individual. Please
you're
interview,
honest.
everyone. Yeah, please interview. Interviewing is
Yep.
important. I would say my particular strength, though, is that I am creative. I love being creative. And that means I'm creative with problem solving, I'm creative with presentation, and I'm creative with process. So I really see myself as a one-stop shop for people who want to buy, sell, renovate, remodel, for buyers that want to shape that space to make it their own, and for sellers that really want to tell the story of that property and show off how unique it is in its best light. That's where I really feel like my strengths lie.
Okay. That's good. That's a good, unique selling proposition, as I like to say. Well, if someone wants to, is looking to buy or sell their home, how can they get in touch with you?
My company name, RED like the color, RED-collective.com. Our website is a great place to see more about me, and also my team. I have an exceptional team of agents. We all support one another, and there's a lot. I think between all of us, we have a little something for everyone.
Okay. Susan, thank you for coming on the show. Everyone, till the next time, make it a great day. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Local Real Estate Show. If you are a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, or a closing company and would like to be a guest on an upcoming show, please visit thelocalrealestateshow.com for more information. Thanks for listening.